Hey folks, welcome to One Nation Radio. We're going to start with talking about the unbelievable early death of Bray Wyatt at age of 36. I don't know where to start with this, Rich. He had been off TV for a while. People had some concerns or speculations, more the better word, about whether or not it was Vince not liking what he was doing on air or whatever, and then he was gone, and then you later hear rumors about it was a health concern. So to hear this, that was maybe like 2 months ago, maybe around WrestleMania, actually, so more than 2 months ago, about him not being around, and for him to be gone now, it's crazy to think of. This is a guy that's 36 years old, a guy that flat out was a star in the promotion, and regardless of whatever you thought of his work, seemingly had a lot left in the tank, but that isn't the case now. But where are you on this? Because I just heard about it, and I just wow, I can't believe he's gone. It's crazy.
Absolute shock. And Sean Ross Sapp actually reported that it was a death due to a heart attack. And he had pre-existing issues that got aggravated by COVID. And
Wow.
Him being 36 years old, all I thought about was my best friend James, honestly. And it was just being grateful that you never got COVID or anything like that. And anything happened with you. And it was it hit just way too close. It's people that are of our time, and there are a lot of fans, I think, that may have seen Bray Wyatt as a kindred spirit of theirs or something like that. And it always falls into the position of how do you eulogize this guy whose work you didn't necessarily enjoy, or how do you separate the sadness of his loss, and I'm not gonna run from it. We have brutalized his wrestling career over the last decade on this show.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. We've hated a lot of the stuff he's done,
and it wasn't well, I want to share something I wrote up on Twitter a little while ago. I was just kind of parsing through my thoughts, because it's you never think of someone's gonna die like that. And I ended up saying this. I said there are a lot of people that found something in what Bray Wyatt did in his pro wrestling presentation. They may have found happiness, they might have found an avatar, maybe they were inspired, or he was someone that they would ride with no matter how far or what direction the journey took them in. Make sure you send your good thoughts to folks who are trying to process this news. Send your thoughts out to his family and his children. I wasn't someone who enjoyed how he wanted to perform his vision of pro wrestling, and trust, it wasn't like I was ever light on him in my analysis, but I do feel for the people that were able to make that connection with him. And looking at someone who's in the same age range as them, maybe they found a kindred spirit. Personally, I'll always remember being in Full Sail University in 2014 when Wyatt just showed back up randomly as a surprise person from the main roster, after the end of the taping. And he shed the character a little bit in the promo, and he gave us some of himself. And it was that was the most I was ever intrigued by him. And I think he did have something, right? And he's definitely someone that I enjoyed covering on this show, whether he inspired, the rants or comedy, or, some of the times he did strike on something. And I don't know, I guess I was looking for that small glimpse that I saw in 2014 to appear a lot more than it did. But, at the end of the day, he's a Florida boy done well, and, rest in peace. And it's then that's the end of the tweets. But we're going on air hours after this news broke, so it's hard to kind of organize everything. I think about him and everything like that, but he was definitely creative, to say the least. Like, how far that creativity went with you is, it's on you. But like, he was trying to bring something at least original, right, in wrestling form, because a lot of his stuff is kind of lifted from different aspects of pop culture and all that. But a lot of people do that. So it is very sad to think about, though, like with him, Brody, and like the whole Wyatt family and Shield stuff. I always remember, and I will always like kind of remember. I always remember Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt in the Hell in a Cell. Maybe not for the best reason, but I'll always remember it. And him being 36 years old, it's just a tragic loss, because I remember how people like were feeling when Bray Wyatt came back last year. I didn't get it. I didn't like connect with it in that way, but like those people were in it, touched, like feeling like it's like this. It's 8:24 right now. I had planned to mention kind of something small about Kobe Bryant today, because I found out they're putting his statue up to 8/24 next year. So, I know how I felt about, somebody that inspired me or connected with me, like, and it was just like devastating when he died. So I can imagine how those people, felt. And we have got on the people that, had the Fiend avatars, and sometimes these people don't display some of the best judgment online and, when you're in conversation with these people. But I think it's important to remember at the end of the day that beyond like some of the things they may talk about, like they found something that landed with them. And in wrestling, it's, like we kind of connect kind of with these people, even though we don't know them in most of these cases. And if you saw the Bray Wyatt character pop up in 2013, because I got a couple close friends that are really big Bray Wyatt fans. Like I know Gats is, my boy Montez is a big Bray Wyatt fan, and they would never come out here and try to tell you it was something about the wrestling. Like they wouldn't do that. But what they would always talk about is the aesthetic, the creativity, the presentation, like seeing almost what it could be. And it's unfortunate that, his career kind of wasn't in more capable hands, which may have, launched him, to even higher levels that they did. I mean, this guy, they let him wrestle all the biggest guys early on. So he was always kind of looked at favorably, starting with Cena, Undertaker, and, at WrestleMania. So, I don't know, man. It's just sad. Like, and there's just something, he's very kind of private. You never really heard a lot about Wyatt as far as like anything on a human level or whatever. But lots of stories are starting to come out between, from his fellow wrestlers, and the Miro video I saw, he's sitting in the car just talking about how nice this guy was, and everybody saying how nice this guy was. And there are a lot of nice people in the world, but it's rare to run into them sometimes, because wrestling is a cutthroat business, and they say like wrestling welcomes all forms of people. But this guy always, even though he was like, I always looked at the Wyatt family, right, to where even though he was younger than those other guys, they looked up to him. What do you think about all this stuff, man?
Yeah, I'm not gonna front and pretend like I was ever some Bray Wyatt fan. As far as the majority of his work, I thought I had a lot of groans and stuff on a lot of stuff he did. But that's not important right now. He's a major figure in pro wrestling in the last decade, and he's gone. And regardless of whatever I thought of him, I did think that like he was cut from different cloth or different breed, if you will, as far as creativity, and come from a different angle and try to make wrestling, something different or more variety, or bring more variety to the game. And that's appreciated. Did it land with me or did it miss with me more times than land? Yeah, but it is what it is. But for the misses, the thing about him is he kept always coming up with something new. And he kept getting people intrigued over and over and over again. And like, there are so many people that start doing something and they can't figure out the next thing. And it kind of just gets stuck as, you know, the person they were, and that's who they are for forever in pro wrestling. And for him to be able to adjust the way he did, he like over and over and over find new things to keep people intrigued, to keep his fans interested in that way. It was impressive. I will never doubt that or talk down on that. And you know, at times when he was hot, even though, you know, we weren't really into it, I feel like, you know, I thought we were fair. Like, we didn't like it, but when he was hot, we were like, hey, you got to go with him. When he got the Fiend thing off the ground and he squashed Finn Balor at SummerSlam 2000, was that 18 or 19?
I think it was 19.
19, we were like, hey, got to go with it. Crowd's going crazy. The new entrance music is awesome. Whatever. It worked. And then they did the goofy thing with Hell in a Cell, but like they kept going with it, and they made him champion, and like that was a second chance with it. And you know, there was also the time when like before that happened, where like he had the babyface chance, but he ended up getting injured, so we never really know like what it would have been if he had been just like you know, the charismatic cult leader as a babyface, because it was basically like the night after WrestleMania that year, and then it was done because he got injured. So, I mean, he had some ups and downs in his career, but like I think he made the best of it. He definitely outkicked his coverage for, you know, what I traditionally think of or technically think of when it comes to all the boxes he can tick off to be somebody at the top of WWE. He doesn't have the look that Vince McMahon wants. He has the promo and the charisma to do the stuff that Vince likes with character work, but like he's not exactly Vince's types of characters, and he still figured out a way to get his ass on TV and stay relevant and all that kind of stuff. As Vince, you know, messes up all the toys like he messed up every toy, and oh, you messed up this one? All right, let's try another one. So I commend him for that.
This guy was a moneymaker.
Yeah, them Fiend belts sold. Like, they sold more than people would like to admit.
Like, I can't explain it, but like they got a gold mine. Like, they're gonna be donating all the proceeds from his merch to his family. There's a lot of stuff with, you know, the family life and stuff like that, which, you know, I think somebody will better than me, somebody further along in their journey than I can probably try to sum up, you know, everything that was going on there. That's
for the biographers, not for me.
Yeah, not for me. But I'll just say rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. And I will never forget Bray Wyatt. Like, as far as like, you know, just like he's just involved with so many things, touched so many careers, kind of. You know, being there while Daniel Bryan's like ascending. You know, the Shield and the Wyatt family, as I mentioned, for, you know, a generation of fans like us, and, you know, maybe a younger and a slight bit older, that shit was like one of the things that was like, this is our fucking free birds Von Erichs. Like, this is what we will identify with one day, where it's like, yo, do you remember the Shield versus the Wyatt family? And I haven't watched that match in years.
Same.
And probably sometime this week, maybe before All In or something, I'm probably gonna throw it on just to kind of see all those guys in their youth almost, and imagine, you know, what could have been almost with all these guys. And
it's crazy to say that, because like 5 of them ended up having really successful careers.
Yeah.
Really successful.
And let's move on to Terry Funk. We also had another death in pro wrestling just yesterday, before I was walking into pick up. A friend of mine got the news that Terry Funk died at the age of 79. Terry Funk had been in ill health for quite a while. I didn't think this one almost was as shocking as the Bray Wyatt one, but all in all, like, you talk about a guy that we talk about Joshi on this podcast quite frequently. It's become a cornerstone of our show. You know, Terry Funk was someone who had his eyes open on people, all different styles, everywhere in the world, and was one of the first people like with credibility that is essentially saying, hey, if you're not watching Joshi, you're falling behind. And he really drilled that in Dave Meltzer's head at the time in the 90s. He, the times that I'm familiar with Terry Funk is like, him in helping legitimize ECW at the beginning.
Yeah.
Him being Chainsaw Charlie, kind of like the crazed legend and all that, and just doing the wild shit. And I had no idea about like his actual great career when I was a kid. Like he was just some old guy that was crazy or whatever, and you could do anything to him. But the more I kind of learned about Terry Funk, he's like, I loved like watching the setup with Flair and Funk in '89. And it's like you come out here, he was a judge, and then he does a snap turn on Flair, and you talk about someone that is with the styles and all that, just like being in Japan, like all the styles, hardcore. Then in the '70s, he was like an NWA world champion. He was this classic technical wrestler kind of almost, and scientific wrestler, and he was a champion there. And it's like he was someone that always like kind of moved around. He wasn't going to be kind of pigeonholed in one spot. He was a cowboy in that sense. And I always like heard like the reverence like people refer to Terry Funk as, and like there are a lot of people nowadays that I think you can kind of look at like as modern versions of him, or just blend a couple guys up. It's like if you combine like Chris Jericho and John Moxley, I think you get Terry Funk. Honestly, like the reinvention, the hardcore, the scientific wrestling, the just everything. Like I feel like with those two, they kind of make up like the sides of Terry, if you will. And I never heard anything bad about Terry Funk. Like as far as like, you always got to check these folks. But like, hey man, was this person doing any racist shit? Was this person doing any bullshit or anything? I've never been led to believe anything about that. Please, I don't even want to know now if something happened. But he was really a do-it-all type wrestler. Incredible on the promos. Just believability. And like it's like, yo, actually that guy might be crazy. Like and I believe it was Terry Funk and Jerry Lawler had this empty arena match in Memphis. It's fucking hilarious. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out, please. I saw something going around with Terry Funk wrestling Eddie Guerrero in 1989, and giving this young, unheard of talent all this offense on him while he's a certified main eventer and legend. Things that nowadays people want top stars like crucified for, he was doing back in 1989. And basically saying like, yo, there's more than one way to present yourself. Like there's a way to be giving, and there's ways to use your position to help others. And like the earliest example of that is Terry Funk and Eddie Guerrero, and that's him having the vision that a lot of people didn't see at the time. So what do you make of Terry Funk's passing, James?
I think Terry Funk is one of the pro wrestlers where similar to Ric Flair, similar to people like that have just multiple Sting, people that have had long careers where he's like, depending how old you are, because their careers have spanned multiple generations, you can literally have a family where like the granddad could say they have saw something about, they could seen Terry Funk when he was, with Dory tagging. You could have the father saying, I remember him. And you can have the son saying, hey, like, I remember when he was old and like he was doing crazy shit. He's like just throwing his body around like a ragdoll. And he was really fucking good, like, at all that time. And it's interesting to think about our thoughts of Terry Funk growing up, because it's like, this is a guy that, because how he's aged, all the mileage, all the traveling, all the hard living, all the farming and living on the ranch and all that shit, like, this is a grizzled guy that athletically does not have it. And he had figured out before anyone else how to extend your career by doing this crazy shit or whatever else. So, like, if
the
not
fucking
for
exploding time bomb matches with Onita,
right, all the hardcore stuff with the, as you mentioned, like, and he got other people over all the time, right? As you mentioned, the Eddie Guerrero thing. Like, look, man, the New Age Outlaws owe their careers to Terry Funk and Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Right?
Big time. And the Road Warriors.
Yeah, that too. So, like, there's just so much. There's a bunch of different stories, obviously. I think one of my favorite, because there's a bunch of them, but one of my favorite Terry Funk stories is, like, Jim Cornette is talking about how he brought him in for Smoky Mountain. And I ended up seeing this off of Botchamania video. And, you know, this is the mid-'90s, so Funk is in his 50s. Right. And like mid-50s. So out of nowhere, like, Cornette's at ringside managing. I forgot who he's wrestling. But Terry Funk goes to the top rope and hits a fucking moonsault. And Jim Cornette says, "Terry, what are you doing?" And he says that Funk goes, "Carney, I don't know." It's like he's just up there, he's just out here doing and trying shit just cause. And, like, at 50, you know, there's just a lot of stuff with him. And, you know, like, the stories, like you mentioned, people are in the chat talking about Japan stuff. Like, I can't really get into the Japan stuff except for, you know, he obviously helped train a lot of the All Japan guys. And that, back in the day, him and his brother Dory. I don't know what the list is. I have to pull it up to be like who it is. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but, you know, they were going down. He decided, you know, to chip in and do the retirement show over there. And it's a big deal. Everyone has the meme of, you know, they're yelling forever. Right. And then the crowd, the Japanese crowd starts chanting forever with him. Yeah, man, just, he's so much stuff. But, yeah, like, he's one of those guys where it's like, I get the news. And one of my first things, like, I think of my stepdad, like, the one that you know, on the show I mentioned every so often about, like, something happens with pro wrestling and it gets brought up, and he goes, "Oh, okay." And it goes on to talk about the story about Dusty Rhodes at Armory. Like, it happened, and, like, the first thing I thought of was to call him and be like, "Hey, just let you know, Terry Funk died." And he goes, "Wow." And he, you know, then he started talking about him, his brother, him and Dory. And, you know, times watching Championship Wrestling in Florida and everything. So, yeah, it's a major loss. As you mentioned earlier, like, just a person that was, as you mentioned, similar to Jericho, like, a person that was always ahead of the time, always knew what was coming next, very smart for the business, wasn't too caught up on, I have to protect and I'm not going to do this X, Y, or Z. It was very open in a time when people were just, you know, very on not putting people over, very on protecting their spots, very on, like, I am not putting you over unless you are a top star or if you can whoop me in a shoot. That kind of dumb mentality that's out of pro wrestling and or mostly out of pro wrestling and for the better. You know, the Joshi stuff with Dave Meltzer, I hear it talked about all the time, or not all the time, but I've heard Meltzer said this story. He says about every 6 months, right? And
he dropped a great free column too.
Okay.
Like, and right on it's rare Dave will put something out for free. Just writing, he wrote about Terry Funk's life and career because, you know, him and Dave were like
very close. So. Yeah, and I'm sure he's one of the first people that welcomed Meltzer into the world. You know, back in that time, people weren't having that shit. People wanted to, you know, do all sorts of things. Dave Meltzer. Why the fuck is there a guy, you know, doing a trade magazine about the business?
They wanted to round him up.
Yeah. So, they hear that story about like, hey, you see what they're doing. You hear this crowd. You see this demographic. You see how they're drawing. You see what they're doing athletically. People are going to copy what they're doing for the next 20 years. He was fucking right. It's different conversations that we had over last week about certain people, and it's like Terry Funk would have told them, hey, like, be more open-minded to this stuff. So, that's what I think of when I think of, like you mentioned, Jericho Moxley things. Like when I first think of Terry Funk, I think of John Moxley, and like John Moxley is so much of what I enjoy tuning in for every Wednesday to watch AEW, and like it's very much modern now, or modeled and patterned off of Crazy Man Terry Funk. Right? Like in Moxley's book about like a lot of times WWE, they're telling him to slow down, relax, you're going over the top, you're doing too wild with it, and Triple H says, hey, you don't want to be like Terry Funk, ha ha ha. And then Moxley's like, fuck you, Terry Funk is fucking awesome. He's right. Yeah. And you see the man's changing in like pace and everything, like since he's left WWE, and like the man's had basically a Hall of Fame career in 4 years, just basically by tapping into the funkness. So tapping into the funk, that'd been a better word for a clip or whatever. But yeah, just all time guy. Like, Eddie Kingston thinks he's the greatest wrestler of all time. There are a lot of people that you respect, that you enjoy and whatever else, that think that Terry Funk is the greatest wrestler of all time. I ain't got no room to disagree with him. Look at the list of career. Look at the people he's influenced. He's up there. He may not be an all-time draw or whatever else, but like his ability to change character, be funny, be vicious, be serious, be technical, be a goofball, be a deathmatch wrestler. Not too many people have the career that can say they can do all that with their character in the ring and also on the microphone.
It's just unlimited range. And like, he just has this look in his eyes where it's like
crazy
someone
like a
else
fox, as he says.
Yeah, someone else is like this. Is kind of like Jake Roberts, but Jake Roberts is like younger than Terry Funk,
and more energetic.
Like, it's just like, yeah, man, like that guy. There's something up with that guy. Like, it's like he's not like the rest of the wrestlers.
You get the sense of danger and craze without like a raised voice. He raises his voice sometimes, but he can still get you without raising his voice. Macho Man, same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So definitely rest in peace to Terry Funk, and thank Terry Funk for 60 years in wrestling, damn near, like 50 years in wrestling, like because if ECW doesn't go, we're Marty McFly and all this shit.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Hey, so do you have a favorite Terry Funk anecdote?
I have a favorite Terry Funk, like from when I was watching. There is a segment on Shotgun Saturday Night with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Terry Funk, where they're face to face and fighting, and like it's not a match or anything. It's the night before the 1997 Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And I believe Terry Funk so eloquently says, "Your mother's a whore."
Can I add to that story?
Yes.
So obviously, this isn't much of a Bruce Pritchard friendly podcast. We both think he's lying through his fucking teeth whenever he does podcasts.
A lying ass, lying liar. Like,
yeah, a lying ass, lying liar. Yes. When he talked about Terry Funk on that about that your mother's a whore thing, man. He said that Vince said, hey, Terry Funk's gonna be on here. Make sure he doesn't cuss or say anything out of pocket on air because it's cable. And then he goes and says, Terry, so what you plan on doing? Oh, a little of this, a little of that. He's like, well, just let you know, you can't say anything like that. And he goes, because Vince hates being called Junior, even though he is a junior. He's like, did Junior tell you that? He goes, yes. Look, it's my ass if anything happens. He says, don't worry. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he goes, Your mother is a whore to entice Steve Austin to a fight. And he says, I think he said something along the lines like he didn't even like look over Vince's way because he knew that he could feel Vince staring a hole through Pritchard.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then like, because at the time, I don't believe anything Bruce Pritchard has to say about anything. I found that video on Daily Motion of him when he called, Bruce Pritchard he flipped Steve Austin for Bret Hart. He actually said Bret Hart, but it was Steve Austin. But bro, the face that Steve Austin makes on commentary when he gets his name called out, like, it's a meme. Like the way his facial changes when he's on commentary, and all of a sudden he hears Terry Funk say his name. He snapped. He's like, "Wait, what does motherfucker say? He say my name?" Yeah. It was incredible. But then the whole thing when they start fighting after he says your mother's whore, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. So yeah, man, he was a wild one, a real wild one. Cowboy, didn't care. You fire me, I'll find somewhere else to go. I don't care.
Yo, I'm out of here. I gotta go home. My horse is sick. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
That story. Yeah. People still don't know whether or not that was real or not. About whether or not like he just didn't want to do a job, or is he actually, really that attached to his horse? And it's like, hey man, like he's from West Texas. I think he's really attached to his horse like that. Yeah.
And there's like even more and more Terry Funk stuff. Like I don't even know. So like
tons of it. So if y'all got some in the comments, share your favorite Terry Funk stories on here.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. So I guess now we'll start the show.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Okay, so, there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Good Jesus.
There's catch up with Stardom for the past like a week and a half on Grand Prix stuff. Grand Prix only. I did not watch the pay-per-view or New Blood stuff. There is the preview for All In. There's Dynamite from yesterday. I think I know where you want to start first.
Bang, motherfucking bang. And I do not mean Cactus Jack. Apparently, Cash Wheeler was arrested, and he was aiming the tool, the pistola, the strap.
Did they say he aimed it? Or did they say he aimed it, or just that he flashed it?
He flashed it, waving it, holding it up.
Well, that was my joke. That was my joke. Like, it wasn't that he actually was like, hey, aimed it. It was like he was driving by on the shoulder because the police report said he drove on the shoulder. He's trying to get by because he was trying to get somewhere. Man. My joke was that he had just, if you're on the stream, you'll see this. My joke was that he pulled up beside a person and lifted the gun like this, like, hey, move out the fucking way. He was dangling the gun. He was dangling the gun instead of actually holding it in his hand like he was actually finna shoot. That's the funniest way. Yes. He holding the gun the way you imagine Young Thug would have held the gun.
Yes. I just need to know, was he listening to NBA Youngboy? Because when you're in the car with the gun, I was led to believe NBA Youngboy has to be playing while you pull out said tool, said Roscoe, said revolver.
The Heat.
Yeah, the Heat. Yes. This guy, I just want to know what kind of gun he pulled out. in my imagination, he pulled out the oldest gun possible. I'm talking about this man pulled a 6-shooter out on here. This man pulled out the 1800s long pistol out here. Did it have a knife on the end of it, James?
Oh my god. I don't know what he got going on with him, man. I don't know what he got going on. Like, I did. He said, man, had a revolver like that. And that man has the Colt 45. Like, that's. I can't.
That man is literally pulling out guns from Red Dead Redemption. I imagine out here. Oh
man, the 6-shooter. Jesus.
For enough of the jokes now. Let's just had to get them. But this is a major problem. You know, I don't know, less than a month before the biggest wrestling show of all time. Got a match coming up with the Young Bucks where you're putting the tag team title on the line at that show. 80,000 plus. And this is what happens? Some road rage? Like, like this is not normal. This is not okay. This is not to be looked at like, yeah, you know, this is some old school wrestle shit. You know, this is how it's supposed to be, and all this is like, no, man, this is felonious. Like, this is like someone like fear for their lives because this man pulled out, you know, the thing essentially. And if nothing happens, I would wonder why that is. And when I say nothing happens, I'm talking legally. I'm talking about internally in the company. I'm talking about at All In. Because how do I say this? I'm not gonna say that. All right.
Not everybody in that promotion could still keep their job if they got charged for this. Not everybody.
Correct.
That's absolutely true.
There are people that have heat on them that are not going to the show. While Cash Wheeler will be going to said show
because he pulled the heat.
Instead of having the heat, he had the heat. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
I think this is interesting. It's going to say a lot to a lot of people in quiet ways and loud ways. And everyone, do not be shocked if FTR still retains the championships here.
I fully expect them to. You know why? Because they're even the fact they're even having a match means nothing is going to change, right? Like there's no.
I think we're telling you without telling you.
No, so we don't know anything, but it's just common sense, right? It's like, okay, so we talked about this a few weeks ago, like the whole thing. We're like, yeah, we'll put you over or whatever else and let it drive Big CM mad, right? Okay, you can still do that. And the part where like they didn't come up with another match for the Young Bucks, or they didn't or Tony Khan did not start Dynamite the same way he started the Dynamite after Brawl Out, where he says, "Hello AEW fans, the AEW World Tag Team titles have been officially stripped today, and we were starting a tournament starting at All In and finishing All Out." They didn't do that. They just said. They didn't do that. They just brought him out there. They did their sit-down interview or whatever else, and they're just continuing on to...
We're on to London.
To Wembley. Right, we're on to Wembley. And it's like, all right, that just clearly means to me that nothing has changed. Because if something has changed, then you should have took his ass off the show. That's the only answer to this. Because, like, hey, man, like, you can't be out here pulling guns on people. I don't care. Like, what are you doing? You can't be pulling guns out on civilians.
Yeah.
Flashing guns. That's a better word to say because we don't know if he actually pulled the gun, meaning he aimed it. But, like, you can't be flashing guns at civilians. You can't be doing that.
Like, that's a situation. The road. Look, that's a situation where if you pull it or flash it almost either you better be ready to use it, or you could put yourself in a position where you have to use it.
Right.
And this could have been a whole lot worse.
Yep.
Like,
Can't play games.
I don't
like
know. I don't know how I would have reacted. Like, if it was me, he pulled the fire out on. Like,
because the word is it was they were on I-4, right?
I-4, yeah.
I-4, for those who don't know, is the interstate. Is the U.S. interstate that runs from Tampa to Daytona that goes through Orlando. So if you were trying to get to Tampa to Orlando, that's what you take, right? People go, the speed limit is 70. People go a lot faster than 70.
Yes.
So imagine someone goes over the shoulder, trying to get off an exit or whatever the hell it was. I forgot what the description was in the police report. They flash a gun. You are liable to start a dozen car pileup by doing that. That was dangerous as fuck. Because I can tell you right now, I'm not exactly going to I don't think I'm going to hold my nerve going 70 plus miles an hour when I look over my shoulder and see someone flash a gun. I don't think I'm going to exactly be smooth. I might slam on the brakes to try to avoid that shit, or I might freak the fuck out. I don't know how I handle that.
Yeah.
But that's human nature. So, like, it could have been worse. A lot worse than just, I flashed a gun at this guy because I'm trying to get by them or whatever the fuck. That's just stupid. Just dumb.
Dumb.
Like, it's like you can argue it's menacing. You could argue that.
Yeah, this is like, I think they said it was like something like 5 a.m. in a police report. Something about the OBT was mentioned. I'm like, what is Brother Wheeler doing by the OBT?
So
at 5 a.m.
So, I think people have mentioned that part. For those that don't know, the OBT is like the street where in every city there is a street or a highway, if you will, where like women of the night walk up and down it. OBT is one of them. In Tampa is Nebraska Ave.
Look. Not saying no. It's just hold on.
I'm just saying
hold on.
That's crazy.
Why were you at that location at that time of day?
And that ain't exactly like by the airport at all. Because I thought at first when I heard the story,
we're
I was
on the way to the gym. Hopefully.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, Dr. Leary said red light. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I don't anticipate the titles to change hands. I didn't anticipate the titles changing hands originally. And I'm almost like, as James mentioned, since nothing's changing, I'd be shocked. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. Because look, I can already see FTR nodding, talking about the conspiracy held against him. It's really interesting considering, like, today of all days is also the day where, like, Donald Trump mugshot came out because he had to turn himself in again. But, like, after that, he on the tarmac, he basically said, like, he's doing the bullshit again about, like, this is a political persecution. And I was like, hey, man, I ain't trying to hear that shit. It's bullshit. And I can tell you right now what FTR non is going to do. Like, if they lose in Wembley, they're going to be saying it was a conspiracy, this and the third. It was like, bro, he was going in on a highway and he flashed a gun.
You're lucky he would like that KRS voice.
You're lucky he was allowed out.
Look, you're lucky he was allowed into the country, into the UK.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
You're lucky to be on the record. Like,
yeah, I didn't even think about that part. Like, what if, like, you brought a gun? No, he can't come. He can't come over here. Which, but another, issue with someone not being allowed to travel to Wembley. Man, but yeah,
there's a little GTBW in this.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I have a question. Did Jim Cornette like talk about how, like, this match still going on, there's no punishment, as opposed to like the nonsense that was going on with Swerve and AR Fox on the fake thing happening, and where they could have called the cops. He's like, well, someone did call the cops because this motherfucker pulled a gun.
It all makes it come back real fast, don't it?
Yeah.
It all makes it look interesting when he had I don't seek out the Jim Cornette experience. I think we have enough listeners that would be willing to do us a solid to find what Jim has to say about such actions here, to share with the community, if you will, that we've built here.
Yeah. Also, I need the WWE wrestlers the people that went to that worked at NXT, moved around the Performance Center in Central Florida, right? And then they're now on the main roster or they're in AEW. I need you to move the fuck out of Central Florida. I need you to leave that Orlando area. It's a haven for people being QAnon. And then he flashing guns. Hey man, do we need to know if he's around? What's it called? The ref.
Jason Rance.
No, not that. But the ref that got fired.
Oh yeah, Drake Wirtz.
Drake. Do we need to find out? Drake Younger. We need to find that out.
Cash does stay quiet. You're you know what this kind of reminds me a little bit of? This is Harvin Marison. He this quiet individual that keeps it on him. Brandishing said weapon with ninja-like ability.
Well, the ninja-like ability because he whooped the man's ass before he pulled out the another person with an old gun. We don't know if Cash had an old gun. But man, just
I just want to know what was Cash driving the old-timey truck?
Oh, he's stupid. Hey, man. What do you think Big CM said to him? Big CM, he ain't no way he a fan of guns.
Yeah,
so,
see, Big CM is
he don't seem like a fan of
my
guns.
Knowledge
so
is not.
What do you think he had to say to him?
He's not a gun aficionado. He's I get all the vibes where from Punk of that ain't got nothing to do with us here. So, that's your private life. But if they try to get rid of you, it won't happen. I won't let it happen. We've seen what Ace Steel did in their own company.
Did Cash have to apologize to Dax and Big CM?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I can see them two both, you already know Punk is what the fuck are you doing? This is stupid. This is not the way. This is not what we do on Saturdays. Right? Don't bring this shit to Saturdays. Don't besmirch Saturdays.
And do that shit on Wednesday.
Right. And then Dax, you playing with my family. you playing with my family. So
all this time, Dax is this loudmouth. Dax is this general annoying person on Twitter.
If turn to find out, he just be talking. Meanwhile, the real shooter is Cash.
Look, maybe Dax is the normal one. Maybe Dax is hey man, that motherfucker's crazy.
Maybe he's hey, I be doing
all. I be myself in a certain way.
Dax be I put on myself. I take all the heat. I do all the talking to try to keep him at peace. You don't want him to pull that thing out and let that thing ring out. He just trying to keep a killer at peace. That's all he's doing this whole time.
Man. I might
have to reevaluate Dax.
I may have discovered a new perspective on Dax Harwood tonight. I didn't expect this going into this show. Yeah, man. Cash Wheeler, all the jokes were out on Friday. It was great. I couldn't stay away from my phone. Putting them all out there and retweeting them, and I believe the AEW Fight Forever the Stadium Stampede modus came out, and I've seen pictures of Cash Wheeler, and they allow certain power-ups and weapons and different stuff. There is some type of gun thing or whatever, right? And I've seen people send out pictures of Cash Wheeler holding the gun or whatever already. Amazing like that. The timing of this, man. Yeah, my man Black Saber Jr., Cash heard he might had to lose to the Young Bucks and was hey, absolutely not, pull out the Roscoe. But yeah, man, this is beyond the jokes of it all. This is not good. And
I'll say this. Like,
don't miss your chance to set a precedent.
He come out here and they go out there and have a classic. That's to the legend. This man's out here flashing. He's like, oh, like, look, the old school wrestling is back. This is shit. This is the shit that Undertaker was talking about. Go out there, pull out guns, get arrested, don't face any consequences, and go out there and tear the house down. I want to see Mark Calloway get that man a standing ovation after this weekend.
Look, that Mark Calloway better log on to Twitter with tears in his eyes, saying,
The recipe's gonna persevere. They're gonna survive.
Amazing. Well, yeah. What else we got, man?
I don't know, man. Where you want to go from here? Do you want to get to Dynamite? Or do you want to get to All In, or both at the same time?
I feel like we're kind of crunched on time for a full Dynamite review and all that. But I wasn't.
All right, let's do All In and talk about what happened on Dynamite that led and whatever else that played into it.
Let me pull this card up. Give me one moment.
Okay. Yeah, man, I actually really enjoyed Dynamite. I think most people that I saw did. I saw a couple people who were like, I was surprised to see that. I think that, like, the show had a much needed sense of urgency to get to, like, where they at. Like, this felt like the show they normally have 2 weeks out that they just had on the Go Home show. It felt like, let's get, the tension all the way there. Let's get these characters and define roles as they head into the show. And quite frankly, outside of MJF, because he talks every single week, like, I felt like a lot of these wrestlers needed microphones or chances to speak, and they have not been given that. And, like, to see them do that was like almost breath of fresh air. And it's like, hey, I'm not saying this show needs to be packed to the gills with promos and video packages and recaps every single week, but, like, can we like, instead of when MJF gets his time, when Moxley gets his time, can we also have, like, 8 minutes for somebody new every single week? Is that okay? Is that allowed?
Right. So let's start with the AEW World Championship, MJF versus Adam Cole. And these guys have been putting this thing together kind of since, I want to say June, where they did the 30-minute draw, of course. They had the long the Battle Bowl style elimination tournament, and they ended up winning that tournament, losing the title match to FTR, which that decision is more hilarious now to beat Adam Cole and MJF with FTR then. But look, didn't I say Dax wasn't getting no title shot either?
Yeah, wasn't that after he was arrested too?
It may have been.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think it was I think it was days later, like 2 days later.
And, these two have gone on to capture a lot of people's imagination with their vignettes and pre-tapes and, some of the stuff they had going on. There are parts of them I liked. There are parts that I didn't really care for. It has kind of caught fire in the ratings, and these guys are headlining the biggest wrestling show ever. I don't know if I really will believe that until these guys are actually in the ring. It just doesn't compute for me.
It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like the main event to a show that's drawn over 80,000 people. It feels like you could have thrown anybody on last, and that would have been because like the show is the draw and the venue is the draw more than any particular thing. But if you're going to point at any particular thing, it would be them.
Yeah, these
It feels like a Roman Reigns WWE type of thing, where it's like, yeah, he's the top guy, but, like, is he the person that is, like, carrying the company? No one's carrying the company.
Right. So, I am going to, and of course, this is linked with the pre-show match. They're going to be facing Aussie Open for the ROH tag team titles. They've put Aussie Open on a couple weeks in a row to give them some wins, going back to Dynamite 200, really. And I think they've done well for themselves. I don't know which way this match is going to go. Kind of unpredictable here. I do feel like Cole is the one, like, if there's a turn that's happening, Cole's turning. I think we were on this pretty early. There's just, it feels like, I would be shocked if MJF just kind of reverted back to the, kind of standard heel character he was doing before. It would really feel like a missed opportunity, kind of.
I feel like a bridge would be burned where people are like, all right, we have given this guy at this point at least 2 chances now to teasing of he's going to be a good guy. We could cheer him. And this second time he is, or really third time you include the Cody stuff, is a third time he has kicked us or pulled the football on us. We're never believing it again. It's the boy who cried wolf. He's very talented. He'll come up with another thing to get people to buy into it. But like the people that are like interested in it in that way, that are, nerds like us, I think this will be the one where it's like, well, whenever it does happen, they'll be like, you did it too late. You did it too late. This is the perfect time to do it if you're going to do it. So, like, if he reverts back, people are going to be like, here we go. So, I think that, like, he's kind of been campaigning harder than he's ever had with the, like, I'm your scumbag type of thing. If he turns and kick, and punches out Adam Cole with that fucking, ring, people are going to be like, all right, I'm never believing this shit until it actually happens. Never even like build anticipation for it. I don't care.
The kingdom is lurking all around this thing with Bennett and Taven, and then also Roderick Strong with the neck brace.
Yeah.
And
that neck brace is getting ripped off in Wembley.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good side or bad side for Adam Cole, but that neck brace is coming off.
Yeah, so there are elements of this that are interesting. It's amazing we haven't really actually considered the match itself.
I think. Do you think that's because like the match they did was so good that like you don't question, or what do you think that is?
I don't know. There are other singles matches on this show that I think that are people should have more of a gripe with than this one. So, it's not like either of these guys are bad or anything like that. Cole's had some up and down performances since he's come back. He's had, their first match did go over really well with the crowd. I didn't think it was like people were saying like match of the year candidate and all that. I was like, nah, man, calm it down.
Like if someone gave that 4.5, I wouldn't be mad at him at all.
Right, yeah. I'm not really too worried about like how good the match will be. I just don't know if it's gonna kind of land with me like that, just because of like I think I like the pro wrestling elements of it, like adding the kingdom to it and all that, and then like the
melodrama is getting in the way of the action for you.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, man. I'm kind of ready to. I'm ready to see it at this point, which is good, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's the perfect time to do it if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy to see this match again. Even with the stuff of like the sword of Damocles hanging over the ending, and whoever wins is going to be a result of shenanigans from Roddy and them. That doesn't really concern me. I expect like the match for most of it is going to be really fun. And I don't think they're going to go 30 minutes. No. Just a hunch, but I don't think they're going to go 30 minutes. And I think we'll get an answer at the end. And, I feel like it'll be a direction to set up for even Chicago next week, or even going out to Grand Slam. But I feel like this is the end of it. I feel like there's another match after this.
So up next, we got FTR defending the AEW Tag Team Championships against the Young Bucks. These guys sat down in a face-to-face meeting with Renee last night on Dynamite, and man, I thought Dax was pretty flustered. Cash really didn't have too much to say, but Matt Jackson, I think, pulled out the old reliable essentially on FTR, which amongst fans, people have always kind of joked like this, but they haven't really said it explicitly kind of on screen like this, the way Matt did. And it was once wondered if the Young Bucks, could cut money promos. And I've seen people trying to discount this because it was pre-taped, as if that actually matters or anything. Last time I checked, a lot of the hottest stuff in the promotion right now has been pre-taped. So
yeah, you know what else is the hottest thing is going on in the entire industry? There's a bunch of pre-tapes backstage. The Bloodline shit. A lot of it is. Roman's making the face backstage saying somebody has to do something before the night's over. It's ominous. That's a lot of what the Bloodline shit is. So I don't want to hear it. It doesn't. Has it been? Am I watching it on screen?
Right.
It's good enough for me. I don't give a fuck if it's in front of a crowd or not. I don't give a shit. In fact, the way these crowds act sometimes, I wish more of these promos weren't in front of crowds where they stop people and have to stop for their stupid stupid chants for dumb shit. Like,
I think
there
you
was
can kind of come up.
Sorry, I'm on a rant. Sorry, Rich.
Yeah, go ahead.
That Phoenix and Moxie match, regular rules match last night, right? Why, like 8 minutes in or 5 minutes in, did the crowd chant, "We want tables"? And Moxie looked up like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
I was fucking baffled. So like, it was like one section, like on, like kind of where you sit in the hard cam, like above the ring. That section was chanting that, and I was over in my section saying "Why" in the middle of it, and everyone was like laughing, and it was like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? But as far as I think there's a easy to figure out situation of why this whole thing was pre-taped, and it goes back to what we were saying last week. Like, this whole thing is really controlled. Like, as far as between the Bucks and FTR, like, they are keeping this very simple as to not like wade into the foolishness. And
somebody reached for the low hanging fruit and it pisses off Big CM. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean that's speculation, but I could imagine that. Yeah,
like, this shit is being pre-recorded, everything's being approved amongst each other, and it's like they just almost had to just get to the match. I think.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with it there. I thought it was pretty entertaining. And Nick talked a little bit,
right? And like, perfect example of why we add on to like why we think like FTR is winning, like. They made it on thick on them. Like, Matt Jackson laid the hammer down on them too. It's like, hey, you talk about your family. We're the ones that provide for your family, right? Yeah, man. Like, that's the kind of shit you say when you about to lose. Like, remember how he fucking teared into Paige before the Bucks and Omega and Paige match? Like, they tend to do that. They bring the claws out because it's like, hey, I'm leaving here with something. Like, you ain't finna hold me on the mic and then beat my ass. I'm like, nah, I'm getting one or the other. I'm getting one or the other.
Yeah. And it's amazing that this has played out kind of the way that we speculated maybe like a month ago on this show. Like, this is going to be the crowning achievement for the Young Bucks. In a loss. It's going to be amazing. It's like, motherfuckers ain't going to realize what happened. It's like, oh, yeah. Like, the way this feud has been done, right? It's like FTR are the champions, but like not really. It's like they are.
I think a lot of it's because of like the shit's on Saturday. We haven't seen it, but like they've been great on Saturday. Like, all the stuff that has issues with, like, there's been issues for them has been like them having to carry Punk in the ring, it seems.
I'm talking about like more overall, like just between the Bucks and FTR right now,
gotcha,
right?
Gotcha.
Like, FTR are the champions and are not acting like it. They're acting like they're still chasing something.
That's true.
From the Young Bucks.
That's true.
And this is the thing, like, that I think people should remember. And it's kind of like what Matt said. It's like, when the Bucks are all said and done, people will come back around. They will figure it out. Like, yeah, those guys were the greatest. And then, like, it'll almost be like, look at the fucking footage in the highlight reel and the fucking match record, and it's gonna be.
He also said
staggering.
He also said there's foreshadowing because like that the Young Bucks are up to be like put into the Hall of Fame, the FW Hall of Fame this year, or the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, like in a couple months. Like, he gonna say this, and like a month later, he'll be like, oh, the Young Bucks Hall of Famers. Like, he knows what he's doing. Man,
I hope they don't act stupid. This year, I hope the voters do not act stupid.
They started the most successful, or the second most successful promotion in the history of this country.
If that ain't a Hall of Famer, then what do you call that?
Even before you even get into like the matches or the indie stuff, like you got that and you got All In. We're done. What does that argue? You don't like their style? Fuck you. It doesn't matter what their style is. Doesn't matter.
My style is my style.
No, like instead of doing lucha, instead of being white guys doing lucha, they could have been out there like they could have been having some crack smoking matches. If it drew what it drew, that's what it drew. The fuck?
So I'm picking FTR to win on this one.
Same.
I wouldn't think this will be the last time these guys will do the dance, though.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. They can get to 5, they can get to 7 over the years.
And
maybe
maybe
they just do it like once a year, they'll be fine.
And maybe this will be the thing to where other kind of pretentious, or not pretentious, other kind of rivalries that where they had problems actually getting it in the ring. These teams seem like they will get it in the ring, and if it's a situation where they can work with each other, like. And it's like not like a situation where they don't want to lose to each other or whatever, despite what FTR and on might believe or whatever. Like this will be beneficial for them both, because I don't think I would call either, like, despite like the vitriol and whatever, these are not each other's greatest opponents, and I think they've got like a lot to prove. Like they're two matches massively different, like, and under scenarios I don't think either of them were necessarily happy with. One, you're in a pandemic, barely any fans there. The second one, they do the match on like a 3-day build just out of nowhere, a match that did actually happen, by the way.
Yeah.
And I don't know
one of the best
how
matches
much
in promotion last year.
Right. And actually, how much smarter does it look that the Young Bucks didn't take the match last year than it does right now? How much smarter is this?
Yeah, good point. When do we get to the part where we talk about how like the IWGP heavyweight tag team titles are supposed to go to the Young Bucks, but like the Young Bucks said, give them to them dudes?
There is that.
Yeah.
Man. They be picking and choosing what they want to know and don't. So, if I was a conspiratorial man, I would almost say it sounds like the Young Bucks are trying to make somebody. Like that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, like they'll put over Private Party, right? But they won't put over FTR. Let's see yourselves. That's laid out on paper. Hey, you going for it too? Are you going for it? What's wrong with y'all?
Incredible. Coffin match. Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. That's right, Christian Cage. Where the fuck did he come from? So last night on AEW Dynamite, I don't think I've been this upset at an angle that happened in AEW and just thought it was stupid than this one. And
like the idea that they had a super hot thing and they decided to blow it up in like 2 weeks for no reason or for no good reason.
They have rushed through this entire thing. That's one bad aspect of it. Like if you're gonna do all this, right, you do this over a long period of time. However,
do you want to explain what they did first?
They lose the match, Swerve and AR Fox, after
Swerve
looking
and
like
AR Fox versus Nick Wayne and Darby Allin.
Yes, Nick Wayne and Darby Allin. Swerve and AR. I'm like, I'm looking at this shit and I'm like, damn, like when do I get to see them versus the Bucks or something like that? I'm like, damn, just
both teams,
just feasting at the idea, at seeing this. Some of the stuff they were doing to Nick Wayne, Air Fox is really over because, of course, Atlanta.
Like
Darby's over.
The Arabian German suplex off of the top rope was crazy.
Yeah, and like they have Swerve turn on Air Fox immediately for, and he's out the match. You know, some of us, like some of you guys may know why. Like, I don't know when you guys are going to hear this, what news is going to get reported when. I imagine the Observer will be out in a couple of days. But yeah, Tony Khan mentioned real world issues, mentioning, you know, and I think this is the second example of it on night, you know, with the Phoenix thing. This screams visa issues to me. This is a, how do I say this? I didn't like this, especially like kind of being close to the situation. Like knowing what alternatives there were, what better alternatives there were, the Cash Wheeler situation, and the concept of heat. If Cash Wheeler does not have heat, I don't know if Cash Wheeler does or not, right? But if he doesn't, and this is a situation where this angle had to be done a certain way to execute a certain thing, which is the end goal of AR Fox not being A, in the match, and B, not being in Mogul Affiliates or Mogul Embassy. I think that's fucking dumb. And I think that they did not only a disservice to AR Fox, who, if the situation, you know, if they're looking at it like, hey, this is, you know, this is your fault, you know, you didn't get your visa done, or, you know, the visa stuff didn't come in on time, you know, whatever it was. I think that is weak. They ran a parallel program with Christian to slide him in there. Christian did a good job making himself make sense and everything. And, but this whole thing, to knowing what I know, thinking about how AR Fox now is back to square one. Swerve is arguably back to square one, like as far as like with the unit, like that was in existence before. They ran through like some of the greatest angles they've ever done, like the Nick Wayne wrestling school beatdown, and then have blown it up almost in record time.
Darby forgave him.
To send a message.
Darby forgave him in 2 weeks. And AR Fox did nothing to. And AR Fox did nothing to show any signs of contrition or try or make good for what he did.
This made Darby look bad. This made Swerve.
It made Nick Wayne look bad because he said it's so due to forgiving him for the injuries that he suffered.
It made Swerve look like he does not have the amount of control that one would think he has. It makes him think like he's kind of like this loose cannon that flies off the handle, rather than, you know, the cool kind of calculated person, like always ahead. It's like, hold on, one single loss did this to him. Like, after you fly across country with this man and do a home invasion, like, this does not... The Mogul Affiliates or Mogul Embassy looks after their own. I know people can reconcile that with he's a heel, he's lying. I think that in order to maintain credibility as a heel, the heel has to speak the truth in a way that is uncomfortable. And they have missed a big opportunity keeping Swerve and AR Fox together. They could have rode this thing out for months and months and months. This could have been some Nino and G Money shit. And this could have been like, this could have been very beneficial for later in the year. Yep. And now AR Fox is not involved in this. They have other members of the faction. They are not AR Fox. And this leaves us with this match now at Wembley, which I thought was this thing with Swerve and AR Fox against Darby and Sting. Now, Christian's in it. I don't have any problem with Christian. You know, but
they're two different storylines.
It's
being converged for the sake for being converged for the sake of we need Sting in Wembley. That's it. And no knock against it or whatever else, but it's like, if that's the case, fine. Put in Brian Cage. Don't put in Christian. Save the Christian and Darby shit for next next week for Saturdays or whatever or where it's happening at. You don't need to throw him in here for this. And when you have Christian headed for Wembley, knowing that his fucking buddy just got a farewell send off in WWE, it makes me think of all the worst things. It makes me sit and thinking like, oh my God, look, if Adam Copeland becomes All Elite, cool. I don't want it to happen in the middle of Sting's fucking match in front of 80,000 people. Like, you're just adding on shit that has nothing to do with each other at all. Like, all these things that have nothing to do with each other, like in a real way, or like converged upon each other. And yes, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, cool, or whatever else. But he didn't have. But you don't just throw out AR Fox to do that and that kind of thing. Like, you could have turned on him like a week from now, 2 weeks from now with Christian Cage. If that's how you want to play it. Never had his one-off match, and then they're probably never going to team each other, or see each other again, or even be on the same show at the same time again.
Disappointing for me, like, and like knowing like what could have been done. Like, if you need, like, I come back to the part of where AR Fox has to be removed from the group, which is why I think the alternative pitches, like, nothing landed, because ultimately the end goal was wanting him out of the group, and those awesome things that I knew of were not taken up on. There's stuff that was shot that was sent up for approval that was like, it didn't go anywhere, I guess. And I'm kind of bummed on this one, and I wish I could say more, but not really my place to say more. If someone wants to tell that story on their own one day, that'll be up to them. And I hate to do that thing or whatever, but it's
I know something, but don't tell anybody, like the Sean Ross Sapp, the Ryan Satin.
I hate to do it, but it's kind of necessary here. You kind of just got to kind of listen to what I'm saying, and it'll all make sense. Like,
I know something you don't know. I know something you don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm picking Sting and Darby because Sting and
of
Darby
course
never lose.
They would have changed the match if Sting couldn't have been in it, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they finna put this black man in a coffin, and they finna put this old man in a coffin.
And it's like,
also this
black group that you have.
Also, Rich. Also, Christian found another way to do a job without getting pinned.
Look at that. But yeah, you have your African American faction, where I think these guys are doing such a different thing. You got to. I feel like you got to let these guys fly, but unfortunately, they clip their wings very early, and I am not happy about this.
Same.
6-man tag. Golden Elite taking on, or Golden Elite of Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page taking on Konosuke Takeshita, Juice Robinson, and Jay White. Funny story, I met Konosuke Takeshita last night backstage, and it was pretty funny because got introduced to him. He was told I was a big fan, and I immediately started talking about some of his matches in DDT to him that I liked and enjoyed, and just let him know I was a big fan. And he just had this look on his face where like he was amazed that like someone like brought this up to him, like which is pretty funny. But good English, we understood each other.
You watched me versus UK Ueno? What? Why?
But yes. So James, last night I was kind of upset at a couple times in the show. This was the first time. So
you get a match and then it gets pulled like it's fucking Raw.
I get an elite match stolen from me. I see the steal going on. Whatever, right?
Wait. Okay, hold on, Donald Trump. You say you see the steal going?
I see the steal going on, literally.
Listen to the terminology this man is using. This is stop the steal.
Yeah, stop the steal. I see the steal going on, right? However, I see Kenny Omega putting the V trigger to Jay White. I'm like, I'm glad I'm here to see that.
Yeah, man. That was nothing but adrenaline in my soul. Something Cody Rhodes when I saw that V trigger come through, bro. I was like, yes, crack him.
Slap eyes with Jay White last night as well, but yeah,
it's funny, like, cause you ran into Jay White, I ran into Jay White before, and I'm just like, yo, bro, you're good, but you're frustrating as hell, and then that's the same thing. I'm just like, yeah, man, you cold, but you also not my cup of tea either. Yeah.
So they then Takeshita lays out Kenny. I'm like, all right, cool. Where the Hangman at? Where Kota Ibushi at? And then all of a sudden, I start hearing that, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, where's the Hangman? I'm anticipating the Hangman save, and you give me FTR. They're lucky I didn't get up and walk out the building immediately. They stole the Elite from me, and then they sent FTR out there when I thought Hangman was coming. Maybe I'm crazy. I would have think it would make sense for Hangman to show up right there, but apparently not.
Bro, Hangman don't look. Big CM could campaign on Hangman not showing up to work. He really could. Like, you think about the Elite this year, and like these stretches were like they just be off TV between their matches. What they put in like promo wise for these or for said matches before they go off, it's like, bro, these are the EVPs. What the fuck's going on?
I have asked this in private, in group chats to you guys, like talking about it, like, yo, like where's all this power that they have? You know, where's all this opportunity to speak?
They seem very. I mean, to be fair, like even before the last year, like there were times, especially like early with CM, or like they're just not really good at like getting mic time when they're baby faces. Like you think about the start of AEW, and like Kenny Omega basically ran kicking and screaming away from the responsibility of being a top star of his baby. He's like, no, I don't want to cut a serious promo. Give it to Cody. Let Cody do that. I don't want no parts of this shit. You know what I want to do? I want to grab a 45-pound bar and put 2.5 pound plates on them and do comedy shit with Michael Nakazawa in the back. I do not want to cut a promo and fire up the crowd. That's not what I do. So I'm always like torn on this. Is like, bro, what is it going on where like y'all just don't? The mic thing is something y'all don't want to do unless it's like say after a match, say greetings to the crowd and get the fuck on. It's kind of odd. And then the time when he did do it last week with Jim Ross, what happened? Fucking Bullet Club comes out there and whoops his black ass.
Yeah.
And Jim Ross sitting there looking crazy. I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't know. Hey, speaking of that, we never talked about this. Did Big CM send the Bullet Club over to Wednesdays to go fuck up Kenny Omega?
I mean, they fucked him up, so like I don't know if there was some type of respect built, and I don't know. It could be a possibility. I was just glad Big CM didn't throw me out last night, and also I did not have to check in with Big CM last night, so I was happy about that.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, this match should be excellent.
Oh yeah. I mean, it goes without saying. Like,
yeah.
Takeshi's great. Jay White's great. Hangman and Omega will be able to hide some of whatever's going on with Ibushi if Ibushi's not, himself yet still. Much like the not Fight for the Fallen, much like Blood and Guts. So yeah, like there's no concerns about the action in the match. Like it's gonna go off. Like it's gonna go off. It's just that it feels like a placeholder to get to Takeshita or whoever Don Callis wants to put in front of Kenny Omega.
Right.
And then after that, it makes me wonder. Then like, okay, so then after this, what the fuck are we doing with Hangman Adam Page? Because we haven't done much with him all year except for reunite with the Elite.
I think Hangman's got some cool stuff coming up in the future.
I would fucking hope so.
So
is he on summer vacation? Is that what it is? He just takes summer vacations. He just take it easy. I mean, to be fair, he's wrestled more, it seems, in like the summer when he was headed towards the title. Like they beat him that one time and he was gone for forever.
Let's see. Okay, and from there, up next, we've got Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho. And James, get your tape decks ready. Not only did the political mastermind Chris Jericho end up being the one, if I told you the day after Forbidden Door, who's going to be wrestling Will Ospreay at Wembley Stadium? If I gave you the options, will it be Bryan Danielson?
Mm-hmm.
Will it be CM Punk?
Mm-hmm.
Will it be Kenny Omega?
Mm-hmm.
Or will it be Chris Jericho?
Mm-hmm.
How does Chris Jericho come out and win at the end of this?
I would have put Jericho in front of CM Punk, but that's it. He would have been third. He'd been a distant third. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
People, I've said it before, and I will say it again. Never, and I mean never, count out Chris Jericho. All he does is prove me right when I say these things. Sometimes he plays possum, and he gives the non-believers a chance. I don't have the zoom activated on this camera. I'm sorry, guys, but sometimes he gives a little bit of ammo, and he addressed them in the promo last night for these people that are wishing for the Jericho downfall. Y'all can keep wishing, because when this guy goes out there and does promos like this, you got to deal with him.
Yeah. So
you got to deal with him. When the money promos come, when the great matches come, and they do, like him versus Ishii was not that long ago.
Right.
Him versus Roger Strong was not that long ago.
Right.
What do you think he's going to do with Will Ospreay?
Yeah. I think that people have been lured into this like false sense of security because like he's been doing the comedy thing and he lost a lot early in the year for him. And like he's in the geek stable or whatever else. Ha 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 ha. So like they don't take him as serious. Like he can't like cycle back up. And it's like he don't necessarily need to cycle back up because he's still Chris fucking Jericho. So like the quick way he cycled up was like the intrigue of, is JSA breaking up? Is he going to team with Callis? And he has that set up for the back end of this, on the coming back on shows after this to get back, JSA and all that kind of stuff, to redeem himself with the people he lost. But the part where like Callis is on him, he's playing the heartstrings, all that kind of stuff. He's reminiscing about the past, about his roots, where he came from and how he got there. And then then his friends actually are like, you're really going to leave us? Like, we've appreciated you all this time, and now you're going to leave us. You ungrateful prick. And they all leave him before he could leave. They all leave him before he could leave them. And then there's nobody else, so he has to go. So he says, okay. And then ultimately, Callis thought he was going to say no, and he just set it up to go fuck him over anyway, because Callis is a snake.
Yep.
And he gets his ass whooped by Ospreay. And Ospreay appears. And Ospreay, a person that, because of the one promo that one time last year, around Forbidden Door time, that wasn't even on air. It was after a show where he said bruv a lot. People that don't know and are unfamiliar and only see the highlights and thinks he still wrestles like it's 2016 when he was a junior, thinks he's this unserious, non-main event, non-big money act. And he comes out there and he gives you what? I am the prize fighter that is fighting for my family. I am fighting to put my stepkid through college. I'm a family man. I will
get in his paper.
I will you stupid.
Well, family man.
And he's basically saying like, Jericho, you taking it seriously, you old, you soft, and I'm going to run through you. And the crowd felt...
They went up for him in the building.
The crowd felt the energy, felt the passion, and much like last summer when he cut that semifinal G1 match, it's like, those that don't know don't understand. This dude is a killer promo when it's upon him to cut the money promo to sell the next match. And he went out there and did it, and the crowd went from brubbing him to being like, oh shit, I didn't know. Motherfucker, we've been telling you for years now at this point. So, does that, and then Jericho comes back and says, hey man, I've helped you along the way. I said, your inspiration is Dynamite Kid, and I told you to turn that stupid shit down because you're going to end up in a fucking wheelchair like him. And it's on, man. It's on. It's a great promo. Also, I've been saving this the whole time because I saw the backdrop early and I laughed and I didn't say nothing. But since we are at the New Japan versus AEW portion of the show, what's going on, Japanese Rich? What's going on? But yeah, man. I thought this was the best thing on the show.
Can we talk about the other part of the promo that he brought up?
Go ahead.
Where he said, he's going to be a free agent soon.
Oh yeah,
in 6 months.
Yep.
It's up. It's up. And
right. And
I don't know who needs to hear this.
Yes, I love the part where he says, I'm going to be the first person to say that I beat Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, and Chris Jericho in 2 months. And then he turns over his shoulder to the camera that's on the ring, that's on the apron, and says, "Oh," and I'm gonna do like he did. "Oh, and my New Japan contract ends in 6 months." And Rich, what have I been saying about the way that Tony Khan, when he has Kenny Omega on AEW the last 2 years, how he's presented him? He's presented him like he is the best pro wrestler in the world, or one of them, or one of the very top ones. You mean
Will?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. He presents Will Ospreay like he's one of the very best pro wrestlers in the world, with the presentation,
like a god,
the music, like a wrestling god, with all the crazy matches they have that looks sensational. All these matches, to be out there with Kenny Omega over this time. And I was saying, like, bro, remember, compare that to how they brought in Jay White without, didn't even have music. They played his music. He ran out with a t-shirt on.
He ran out with a t-shirt on.
Right. There's different levels of this presentation. Tony Khan sees that guy as, this could be an AEW World Champion. I don't think we have yet to see that out of the presentation for Jay White. I think they could see him as a person holding one of the singles belts. I can see him being Jay White, or see him being Orange Cassidy and shit like that. But it's to be told, or to be seen, whether or not he think, oh yeah, we're going to put him in on Double or Nothing 2024 and put the belt on him.
Yeah, man. This is,
Will Ospreay, he's getting that belt once he signs with AEW, or if he signs with AEW.
I don't know who needs to hear this. It's a done deal, bro. Like, I know there are people that are holding on to hope that he's staying in New Japan, and they're pulling these quotes. He doesn't want to.
Or the ones that, that were laughing at him a year or so ago, or 2 years ago, saying, "Hey, we would like to see the Seth Rollins versus Will Ospreay match." Bruv.
Levels. Yeah. Welcome to the members. But this guy, I don't know who needs to hear this. These people that are pulling out these quotes talking about, he doesn't like to travel. He doesn't want to actually live in America. Well, what does that mean to a man with a private plane like that can send it all over the world? That's a non-answer. And I guess that, right. Will Ospreay is a great worker to work these people into believing that, holding on to that thread of like whatever. Look, the yen is down. The yen is crashing.
Yeah, it's still like 70 cents to our dollar. Like a yen is like, yeah.
Look, he done. There's no further he can go in New Japan unless you're going to make him the actual top star of the promotion, which you're never going to do. Yep. And I have proof of this. They had Kenny Omega, and they didn't do it for him. And he spoke Japanese.
Well, I was going to say what the fuck? I was going to say the proof. I was going to say the proof is that like Sonata's in the main event of the Tokyo Dome.
Correct. Like, this promotion, New Japan Pro Wrestling, should be ruled by Will Ospreay at this point. Like, you know, I know he's not Japanese, but when we're talking about talent, who has it, who's a superstar, who's hitting their prime, their peak, who's producing, like, he's the fucking guy.
Like, who are the two best factions in New Japan right now? Wouldn't it be like this new revamped version of now they're on the upswing, LIJ and United Empire? It'd be those two. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
but like, you know, when he jumps, I don't want to hear shit from the pure elitists about.
Can't say shit. He's been the best wrestler since 2019.
Look, you can't say shit because A, he's been the best wrestler, and B, they're gonna fucking pay him more. So like,
yeah.
Unless you're counting on some emotional connection that's been made, they blew through his big win over Okada inside a G1.
Beat him inside of 20
minutes. Like, they didn't make that special at all. It wasn't at a Tokyo Dome or a Dominion, a G1 final. It wasn't at any of that. Like, it was just,
It was on a block. It was on a block.
Like, what's there left for him?
Right.
Yeah, like, I think people better
beat Kenny Omega in Japan. Which is funny because then like Kenny Omega do the job for Will Ospreay, which is then lead to like them taking that shit to Chicago. I'm sorry, Jacksonville, but really Chicago.
Oh man. But yeah, this is gonna be great. Will Ospreay is gonna beat Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho is gonna beat Father Time again. Like a drum. And more importantly, he's going to beat all the non-believers. He's going to beat the motherfuckers on Twitter. He's going to beat these people that think he should hang it up. He's going to beat all these people that count out the greatness of Chris Jericho. And I will win once again when people start telling me to send out the clips 10 minutes into the match. That's the most important thing, that I win. So, you know. Look, I have a easy time believing in Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho to make me look good. So
yeah.
Stadium Stampede.
Hold on. Like, just think of the idea of like Will Ospreay, like working like a reduced schedule. Like, oh yeah, we'll only wrestle 30 matches this year.
Imagine what those will look like.
It's gonna be filthy, man. We finna see, Seth. We really finna fucking see.
It's gonna be ugly, man. Like Will Ospreay signs. Sometime in 2024, he will be the AEW World Champion. Like,
I imagine so. Like, look,
look, as long as Big CM signs off on it, he'll get the belt. You know. As long as Big CM,
he'll be okay with it because at that point in time, he'll still be the real world champion or whatever the fuck they're calling that shit, right? With the X on it. So yeah,
might as well talk about that next.
That shit crazy, bro. They really are doing this. This man really has his own. This man really has his own like.
This man has got $1 million belt.
I'm not even gonna say that. This man has his own like. What is that shit Seth Rollins got right now?
Oh man, this is worse than that.
He has his this is the B show title belt. Look, that's what that is.
Look, at least Seth Rollins like won that shit and like beat somebody for it and all that stuff. But like this whole thing, like this man was like Triple H. He pulled that shit out of a bag. Bro, like
the hilarity of it, where it's like I never lost. He still that's valid. He never lost, right? But like the people apparently don't seem to want to actually get in the ring to go get that win off of him, and him man gonna be stuck there like an old man yelling at clouds. I never lost. I'm undefeated. I never lost.
Fight you. Like,
we don't give a fuck about that. You've been passed over. Deal with it. Enjoy Saturdays. That sucks.
Have fun with that.
That sucks.
Have fun with that.
Look, CM Punk. Well, I'm telling you this right now. CM Punk better go holler at Will and say, "Hey man, you want to come over here and fight over the Real World title?" Because
you want to collide.
Look. They ain't got no top stars on Saturday except for CM Punk. So he's like, "Hey man, there's a ready-made top star right there. Come over to Saturdays real quick before you move over to Wednesdays. Come on."
I mean,
please, Miss Ospreay, please.
You know, they could have Adam Copeland go over to Saturdays. And,
Sad things I already had that thought because Christian's already over there on Saturdays.
You know, Adam Copeland is CM, big CM. Go ahead and do it for the X belt.
Did they ever have a feud in WWE? Like I mentioned, like 2010 or some shit.
I don't think so. I know he cashed in a Money in the Bank on him before.
Punk on Edge?
Punk on Edge, yeah.
Okay.
But, I don't think all that. But back to Samoa Joe and CM Punk.
Yeah.
This whole thing it's kind of amazing. This thing is led here. I saw a really good point on Twitter today. I didn't realize who it was from. But if Chris Jericho did a feud with Ricky Starks where they went 50-50 and then Ricky Starks was not on the next pay-per-view afterward, what would the narrative be?
He buried him, hitting it over. Jericho sucked the blood out of him. Yeah. Vampire. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So while Ricky Starks is on the sideline for this show.
As a heel this time.
Punk and Joe are coming with this match, a rematch they've already done in the tournament, that CM Punk already won with a roll-up, victory roll style.
Mm-hmm.
There was a really bad GTS clip going around.
Yep. Hey, here's an idea. When you have a lift move as a finish, and you're facing a dude that you can't lift, well, you gotta come up with another finish. That's pro wrestling 101 shit. Like Saya Kamatani, when she's healthy, is not herking up Rawaka or Nascotura for the Star Crusher. She's hitting the Hurricane Rana, or she's hitting the Firebird Splash, or she's hitting the Phoenix Splash. She's not trying to herk up a woman she can't lift. Because that's stupid. Someone's going to get hurt, or makes your move look unimpactful.
So while they fight for this real world championship and pretend that we have to care still about mid-2000s Ring of Honor in 2023, I feel nothing for this match, to tell you the truth.
I mean, we're not really watching Saturday, so there's something to that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily fair. And for me, it's not like I'm just not going to watch it. It's just there's always something going on Saturdays, and then it's 8:00, and I'm I'll get around to it. I got all them shits to on a hard drive to watch them. Just haven't watched them. I've only seen three collisions. So yeah. As far as the Punk and Joe thing, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt of they have the go home show. Right? To be fair, when it comes to what I saw yesterday on Dynamite, I'm a lot more enthused or looking forward to watching the show after what happened promo-wise on last night compared to before. So, I'm willing to give Collision the same benefit of the doubt. Now, that being said, I have a prior engagement set at 8:00 on Saturday.
You won't be seeing that shit anyway.
So I'm gonna have to get this show and watch it on late at night or on Sunday morning anyway. So it's so we'll see. But if
the pre-show starts at 12 noon, James.
I'll
personally, knowing James Boyd for over 15 years at this point, James Boyd is not waking up Sunday morning to watch the possibility of a promo battle between CM Punk and Samoa Joe to be caught up for All In.
If it's on Twitter, I'll check it out. If it's on Twitter, I'll check it out. It's everybody posts shit on Twitter. I'll see it.
James is not logging into the torrent and downloading that shit.
Hey man, never look at it.
It's like I said, he's not doing that. He's not logging in and doing that. That's what I say. He's not logging in and doing that, people. But this
man gonna give him the method of operations. Oh my god, what are you doing?
Oh, man, but I don't know. This could be okay. It could suck. It could be all things in between.
Yeah, it could.
I really don't know.
As long as they don't go over.
Oh my god! Keep these guys to 15 minutes, please.
I was going to say 16, but yeah, sure. Like
go
around the same time.
Go the Eddie Kingston CM Punk route,
right.
Please.
Right.
With this, and I don't need to see the scientific wrestling acumen of CM Punk on display against Samoa Joe. Like, no, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
Make
Joe a monster. Let Punk sell. Work the story from there. Yeah. That makes the most sense to me.
Stadium Stampede match. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, and the best friends of Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta and Penta taking on the Blackpool Combat Club of Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and the returning Santana and Ortiz. And can I tell you, the reaction for Santana in the building, loud, like big time. People are happy to see these guys back.
Yeah. In their heels.
It is.
Fuck.
I'm gonna say it is funny that the last match they were in together, I think, was against the Blackpool Combat Club.
No, it was with Blackpool Combat Club against JSA.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
the thing that's weird is they're standing opposite of Kingston. That's what's weird. Yeah. That's what's weird. Like, them being with BCC is fine. Them standing opposite of Kingston is like, wait, what? And during that angle, like, they lay out Phoenix, and like the person that's like they're talking about as emotional person for it, obviously because he's the biggest star, is Kingston. It's like, bro, Kingston hates Phoenix. Kingston, like, the reason why like they end up reforming a Death Triangle once Pat came back was because Kingston was playing this was trying to cause a wedge between him and between Phoenix and Pentagon. He hates Phoenix. So like, to do that, I was kind of like, wait, am I supposed to forget this? Am I not supposed to remember this? I don't know what they're doing. That's another part of this story, this thing. But like, another part of like, yeah, we gotta write another sensational worker off the show. Fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, man. I think this one's a little bit more known by everybody around, but yeah. Look, man. At this point, I'm starting to not care about like whatever Visa explanation that you have. Y'all need to either steal somebody from WWE that keeps the clocks or the trains on time, or we need a better explanation, but either people need to be hired or someone needs to be fired. Like, either we need to get this person more help to get this shit done, or need to be let go. I'm tired of this. Like, Kenny fucking Omega, an EVP of this promotion, had visa issues this year. This is ridiculous.
Yes,
it's ridiculous.
And for it to be the Jacksonville Jaguars owner son that runs this promotion, and knowing the resources that are at his disposal, which may be actually being used, and is just like such a tight deadline, there's nothing you can do. But it's like, I feel like this should be like
when this show announced in April.
This show was announced in April. I feel like this should be like a mandate for the promotion. Like, yo, how do we get every person a passport just ahead of time, just as a checklist item? Like,
I got my passport expedited. Obviously, not the same thing as visa stuff, whatever. It's not necessarily a passport thing, but
yeah,
I got my passport expedited. I think it was the first week of November last year, because my passport expired. I got it back, I think a week before it's like around Jason's birthday. So like a week before Christmas. So it was like, it wasn't that long. It wasn't 4 months. I don't understand why this keeps happening to them.
Frankie brings up a point in the comments. Worker visas are a different story, and they're all non-U.S. citizens. I don't know if it's a situation where maybe, WWE doesn't face these problems because WWE is a little better connected, if you know what I mean.
Better connected than an NFL owner? I'm sorry, aren't they all donating to the same cause?
Look,
what?
there are people that donate to the cause, and there are people that participate with the cause. So I don't know, like, if someone's like looking the other way to get all this right or whatever, but they have non-Americans get through just fine in WWE.
I get what you're saying, Rich. I'm just on the same thing where it's like, look, that may be true, but like this shit don't happen to these NFL teams when they take their ass to UK and wrestle and had these shows over or have these games over there. This don't happen to NBA teams when they have games in Mexico or wherever else. This shit don't happen to them. And we're not, and like you mentioned, like the Phoenix thing about, oh, he's not a U.S. citizen. Yeah, like I don't know if y'all are aware, but like the last few NBA MVP winners weren't Americans. Like we have foreigners. We have non-Americans traveling on behalf of working for an American company to go to other countries to do their jobs in a similar fashion to AEW having international acts go to a different country like Canada or to the UK. I understand like these aren't exactly apples to apples, but I'm sorry, like these are fucking fruit. Fuck. I'm tired of this shit, man. It happens all the goddamn time. It needs to be fixed.
Yeah, like if it was me,
we blown
right?
up storylines. We blown up two storylines on this show leading to the biggest show ever. This is a class of fuck up.
We were blowing up units.
Yeah.
They
brand new units.
If it was me, January 1st, 2024, I would have a letter in every AEW wrestler's text messages, inboxes, whatever the fuck. Like, yo, you have 3 months to take care of these situations to ensure that you have a working visa. And if you do not have one and you are struggling, we will help you. And you have 3 months to do this. And if you do not have this done and you have not either seeked our help or it's a extenuating circumstance of why you can't do it and we're in the loop, you'll be okay. But if it's not that, they need to fine them. Like, yeah. they need to find the wrestlers or whatever, or like they need to step up their game on their behalf to make it easier for their wrestlers.
Rich.
Like if it's a case where the wrestler, like if they look at it like it's the wrestler's responsibility to clear their working stuff up, across the thing, like they may see it like that, right?
Sure.
But
however, you need to be on their ass about getting this shit done.
You need to either insist that they get it done, or you need to offer your assistance and your resources and your means to help them get it done.
Rich, you know who else does that?
Who?
NFL teams.
Come on.
We are on. Look, this is the itinerary for the road game. Your ass needs to be on this bus to get to the plane by X, Y, or Z. By X. We are not stopping or waiting for you. We don't care if you just got in a 12-car pileup. Your ass needs to get out of that. Let whoever with you or around you handle your car accident. Get your ass there. This plane is leaving with or without you. If this plane leaves with or without you, if this bus leaves without you and this plane leaves without you, you're being fucking fine. That's your job. Fuck. Like, I understand this isn't as cutthroat as the NFL. I get it. It's all friends wrestling. I get it. But at a certain point, hammer gotta be laid down on these people. Cause they've been like, people have just let this shit slide or someone's not doing their job to be on their ass about this and up their ass and annoying and putting pressure on them to get this shit done, this paperwork, all this shit filled out. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's affecting the on-screen product. If it wasn't, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Right.
But I'm trying to watch a show and now I gotta find out that like, oh yeah, Ray Phoenix, who was on this thing, like he's off. Oh, somebody else may have, they just started a brand new faction. We blowing that shit the fuck up. We just wasted everybody's time. Stop wasting my time.
Absolutely. 6-man tag match, AEW World Trios Championships. Brother, this nigga badass Billy Gunn is over as fuck, and I don't understand how this happened. I get it. He's been in the business 32 years, as he mentioned.
I can explain why.
Like, they are going crazy for these guys.
It ain't the first time a white guy has gotten a lot has benefited from the work of two black men. That's not nothing new. That's not nothing new. That's not nothing new. He has appropriated the wave, Rich.
He's right there. Hard to say any different. But the crowd was so into their challenge last night, and do I want my promotion in 2023 like one of the most like central things that's set to like climax at the biggest show ever? Do I want it built around Billy Gunn? I don't.
Not necessarily, but you know what I do want to see? I want to see some fucking scissoring in Wembley.
Foolish.
You don't want to see no scissor in Wembley? Because I do.
I want to see like absurd like scissoring in Wembley. Like I want to see like mega giant scissors. Like I want Anthony Bowens to come to the ring with like scissors that he has to hold with both arms over his head and shit. Like just out here cutting and strutting. You know, literally like Brutus Beefcake. Like
the shears. Oh God.
I'm picking the Acclaimed on this. These guys have to win this. I think I'm bored to death by the House of Black, and I think a lot of other people are too.
And it makes sense. Like if they lose,
these guys are finally wave.
If they lose, you can finally get to the Andrade shit that they've been holding off forever since the first like 3 weeks of Collision.
Funny that you mentioned that. Our chat was talking a little bit earlier about the supposed the narrative of the more organized show, the less going on show. Why the fuck does it have all these feuds getting dropped? Like, and shit not like playing out when you think it needs to play out. Like, is all their shit just going to be at All Out? Because like I'm looking at this card, right? This shit look real Dynamite-ish.
Yeah,
plus CM Punk.
Yeah, CM Punk
just
and FTR.
Saying,
pretty much.
And you know this trio thing is kind of
Hobbs. If not for some stupid shit like Christian Cage is not on the show. Yeah,
right.
Jungle Boy's on the pre-show now.
Yeah, Jungle Boy just got announced against Hook for the pre-show for the FTW title,
and that mostly played out over Dynamite anyway.
It's yeah, like I got the Acclaimed on this one. Of course, I was upset about how their legs got cut off earlier this year.
Same.
So let these boys get a run, get Max back to Max has had I think a quiet year on the mic. Let him come back. Maybe he's refreshed and give us some new kind of material with it.
Even call House of Black some wankers or some shit.
Yeah. He's definitely gonna use a UK type phrase. Gonna tell them beans and toast something. Oh, actually, you can't make fun of beans and toast because they like that shit over there. So,
are beans and toast actually beans and toast? Because like they call French fries chips. So I don't know what's actually what.
Hey man,
maybe that's like slang for something else. I don't know.
One of our UK listeners is gonna have to tell us. So we got the fatal four-way, we have the four-way women's match. Hikaru Shida, Toni Storm, Saraya, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Did you like the build for this on the Go Home Show?
What build?
Exactly.
I believe they have a Rampage tag match coming up. But
so I won't get to see it. Unless there's some like shit on Twitter.
Yeah, I think these ladies could have used some promo time, some type of sit down. Hikaru Shida is doing a lot of media right now, so you can let her speak English. Like she can do it.
Well, maybe the whole gag is because like she learned English and has the English accent because she watched Harry Potter. That's how she learned English. Like,
That's
maybe
funny.
the gag is like, they're giving her media in the UK because, like, her accent more acclimates to the locale. Maybe that's what they're doing. That's a sick joke, by the way.
They actually did send Saraya and I believe Britt. Actually, no, they did not send Britt over. They sent Saraya over. I know that. They did not send Toni Storm. I saw her and Britt last night. So, yes, Saraya was the only person that was sent for media. So, I don't know if you just let the other ones talk and do it or whatever the case may be. But there should be more meat on the bones here. There isn't. I'm just going to take a Carl Shooter to retain.
Same.
And we've gone over, the reasons why in previous weeks. I think people are scared to death of Saraya at this point.
They got to play her as a boogeyman and have near falls and get everyone shook. But, like, there's going to be a lot, because there's a huge flying crowd. It's going to be weird because, like, there's going to be a not insignificant amount of the crowd that want her to win. And, like, they're going to be shouted down and told, fuck no. Are you crazy? So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Gotta say, a lot of women wrestlers in AEW. 4 of them make the show. That would be something. Yeah, that would be something that I think needs to kind of be talked about louder and demanded kind of some. I don't know if accountability is the right word, but it's like, all right, like, how was this only the amount of room that you created? How isn't, like, I can live with the one match on the main card. How do you not have another pre-show match, like with a battle royal or something?
Are we sure that's not the case? That, like, not to be like announced later? Are we sure?
It could be announced later. But it comes back to, you're gonna announce this the day before the show. And while everyone you're allowing this discourse to fester and everything like that, and you can cut that shit off anytime you want, right?
That's true.
But it's like, all right, man.
But you got to announce that Jungle Boy's on the show, so on the pre-show, can't let that one out the bag.
Yeah. Very upset. I'm not seeing Sammy Guevara on this show. Maybe he makes an appearance with Jericho or something, but I don't know.
Yeah, he'll pick up like Jericho's bloody corpse. Yeah.
But yeah, and it's like, I would like to see,
Hold on.
Go ahead.
So Dr. Larry said they are using the same woman they've been using all for the entire year. That's not true because I don't see Sky Blue in Wembley, and she's on the fucking show every goddamn week fighting another motherfucking outcast. And bro, I want to pull up her cage match and see how many times she has been on Dynamite this year wrestling a member of the Outcast. I feel like it's been like 2 or 3 times a week at this rate.
Bro, I feel like she's wrestled Ruby like 4 times at least. And like, I got nothing on any of these matches. Like, but Black Sabre Jr. with a good one. All In potentially having one women's match. Well, people did say they wanted this to have the spirit of the original All In. That's funny. But yeah,
as a better 4 set of women.
Funny story last night. So I'm sitting there chilling.
Oh, fuck you, Black Sabre Jr. Fuck you. This man Sky Blue versus insert Outcast member for Wrestling Observer Newsletter Feud of the Year. That's nasty.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, Rich.
No, you're all good. I was just gonna talk about how I said hi to Willow Nightingale, and she was just responding in the most happiest, pleasant way possible, and I was just like, "Wow, that's a nice lady." Like, but
is she shorter than you thought, GB?
No, she's about what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving on. Let it ride right there. Let it sit silent.
You're an idiot.
Jack Perry and Hook, as we mentioned, and we already talked about Aussie Open and Adam Cole. So this is gonna be a big show.
It's gonna be a great show.
It's gonna be a great show. We're hand wringing over this thing, and I think we're really hand wringing this thing just because of the stage it's on and everything like that. But like I expect the wrestlers to
the matches will match.
Will go crazy. Like I'm looking for big, looking for special gear. I want people to really take this thing like it's a opportunity or whatever. It's a kind of for your legacy.
More serious than their booker. I thought you were gonna say that.
Oh my god. Oh, but yeah. As Doc mentioned, I wanted to see some of the other women get a chance. I want to see Athena get a chance. Willow,
Athena and Willow are two that stand out the most. Like Jade,
Statlander.
I don't know if she's her stats with the company's kind of weird.
Yeah. That's why I think they've got 2 matches scheduled. They need to have a third one. It needs to be like a bunch of women in it, I think. And not these RJ City and Renee talk for like a half hour and shit. Like no, like that's. All the worst pre-shows happen when that shit happens like that. So let them go out there and walk that stage. Walk
that aisle.
Walk the aisle, But yeah, man. So I guess James, you
you want to do that given this time, or you want to kick that for Monday?
Let's keep that down the road. Let's keep that down the road.
Yeah, sorry, Stardom fans. Next week. Sorry.
Yep. Let's keep that down the road. It's a little late tonight.
Yeah, it's already 12:14. We're gonna hold this shit up to 1:15 if we start this one. Nope, can't do it.
Yep. But thank you guys for listening to the show and all of that. So yeah, James, you can take us out of here.
Yeah, thanks for listening to the show, y'all. If you are watching this from the stream, you can see the links to the PayPal and to the Cash App. You can donate there. If you are listening to the podcast, you can look at the show notes, show description, and find the link to the Red Circle and donate there. And listen to the other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Roman Watches Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Get in the Ring, Meet the Press Slam, Great Match Generator, and The Wrestling Disaster. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Good day, mate.